Hello, intermediate band. This is a video on how to construct a major scale. And I know that you have been using major scales and you have been learning how to play major scales. This is a video on how to construct one. And it's really not that hard, and you'll need it your whole life. So let's get started. A couple definitions that you probably already know. The first one is a half step. And you had to play a chromatic scale for me in order to get into intermediate band. And so you've already played half steps. Chromatic scale is simply every note possible from one to another, right? So if you're going from C to the high C, that is the C chromatic scale. If you play every pitch in between C, C sharp, D, E flat, F, G, right? All the way up. On a piano keyboard, a half step is from C, or from one key to the very next key. So often it's a white key to a black key. There are two times where there's no black key in between. That is between E and F and B and C. So those are also half steps, even though there's no black key. Okay, it's pretty simple. That from one note to the very next pitch is a half step. If you skip one of the half steps and put two half steps together, you have a whole step. Makes sense. So from C to D is a whole step because you have that D flat or C sharp in the middle of it. So pretty simple stuff, right? If you don't remember readily what a piano looks like, and that analogy doesn't make any sense to you, you have a resource in the back of your book, which is your fingering chart. A half step is from one of these fingerings to the very next one. Okay? Whole step would be to skip one and go to another one. So again, we have C to C sharp, that's a half step. C to D, that's a whole step. Okay? Be careful when you get to E. Here's an E, right? And we need, if we're looking for a half step, E to F is a whole step right here. Or sorry, half step. Yeah. And then if you go to F sharp from E, that's a whole step because there's that one in between. Okay. The other one to be careful is going from B to C is a half step because there's nothing in between. Let's see if I can find an example of that. So here's B, and we want to go to C, but you can find it before me. There's C. C sharp is a whole step from B. So some people find the fingering chart thing easier to understand than a piano keyboard because they don't have any experience with piano. Okay, I am going to share a whiteboard with you that has some of this stuff already written down, so you don't have to wait for me to write it all down because it takes a little bit. All right, hopefully you are seeing that. This says major scale construction at the top. It has our two definitions of half step and whole step. Then in the red, there is the formula, okay? The formula is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That is a bit of information you need to just memorize. It'll make your life easier, and it will just be something that you should be able to just recall. If that doesn't make any sense to you right now, hold on a minute. Just trust me, it will. W stands for whole step, half is half step, okay? In the purple right next to it, I have written how to. What I mean by that is how to make a major scale. The first step is just to write out all the letter names in order, okay? So if you're starting on C, you would go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All the letter names must be used. You can't use any of them twice except for the very first one. So you can't go C, C, E, F, F, A, something like that. You have to do them all in order, just like the alphabet, okay? The next part is use the formula to make it true. So if I'm starting on B flat major and someone says, please make a major scale on B flat major, I'm going to start by writing all the letter names. B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Okay. I already know that I'm going to need a B flat because that's the name of the scale. So I'm going to go ahead and add the B flats on the flats to both of the B's. Okay. And at this point, I would not have the flat next to the E yet. Okay. Now these wonderful little arrows here, this from B flat to C is a whole step because there's B natural in between. The first bit of our formula says whole step. Okay, so we've got it. From C to D, we already talked about is a whole step. From D to E, without the flat there, is a whole step, which is a problem because we only need a half step. So I'm going to add a flat to that E, make it E flat. I can't use D sharp because, first of all, you don't normally have flats and sharps in the same key. And second of all, we need to use every letter name. So I can't have two D's in a row. So it must be E flat. Simple enough. From E flat to F is a whole step. From F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. And finally, we have a half step between A and B, which is what our formula says. Okay, so that's step number 2. Step number 3, double check your intervals. Make sure that they really are whole steps and half steps in the right places. If they're not, add your flats and sharps to make it true. And then the next thing I would do is to play it on your instrument. Play exactly what you wrote, not what you have learned before, right? And see if it actually sounds like a major scale. Okay, then you're done. Okay, I'm going to erase this part of this, and we're going to do another one together. So if you want to take a screenshot or a picture of this, I'm going to give you a couple seconds to do that now. All right, so let's see if I can get they've changed some of the tools on Zoom, and I should have played around with how to erase things. There. Oh, really? I have to do each one individually? Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. We're going to try a sharp key this time. Let's try D major. So we're going to need D major. First thing we do, write down all the letter names in order. So we're going to start with D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Okay, that's step number 1. We haven't used anything twice except for the tonic, D, and everything is in order. Okay, so now we just have to create that formula. Between D and E, we need a whole step. Okay, so think about that piano keyboard. Is there anything between D and E? Yes, we have a D sharp or an E flat there. So that is a whole step between those two pitches. So that makes that part true. It's fine. We can move on. From E to F, we need a whole step according to our formula. Is or is E to F a whole step? It is not, because there's nothing in between that. So we have to change something to make it a whole step. We need to make that interval larger. So we're going to raise that F to F sharp. Okay. Now from E to F sharp is a whole step because we have F natural in the middle. So that makes that second part of the formula true, and we're good. Okay. We cannot say like any other letter name here because we can't use like a G flat here because we can't have two G's in a row. Okay, even though it sounds the same, the spelling matters. Okay, so now we need a half step. From F sharp to G is a half step. That's a happy thing. So we can move on. From G to A, we need a whole step. G, G sharp or A flat to A is a whole step. So we're good there. Between A and B, we also need a whole step. There's A sharp or B flat in the middle, so we're good there. From B to C, we need a whole step, according to our formula. B to C is only a half step. There's nothing in between. So again, we need to make the interval larger. So we add a sharp, we raise the C to C sharp. And now we have a whole step between B and C sharp. So we're good. We finish with a half step, C sharp to D. That's it. Okay, so we could double check it. We have whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That is what the formula says. We're good. We don't have to add any more flats or sharps because we've already done it correctly. If I played it on an instrument and I played everything I wrote there, it would sound like a major scale because it is. So you're done. Okay, so these are not, it's not a hard process, especially if you just take it one step at a time and you are careful about your relationships of the whole steps and half steps. You can take any starting note and create a scale. It's pretty fun, and you will need to do it later in our class. So it's a good idea to learn it now and just practice using it. Okay, so hopefully that made sense to you and you can feel confident doing this assignment. I would like you to take, let's start on A. I would like you to start on the note A and create a major scale from that note. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is write down your name on your paper. The second thing you're going to do is write down the letter A and then just do the alphabet all the way up to the next A. Remember, there's no H in music. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. The next thing you're going to have to do is use that formula to create the correct number of flats or sharps and, to make the whole steps and half steps accurate. Once you have done that on any old piece of paper, it does not have to be on staff paper, just the letter names like we did here is fine. And once you've done that, you're ready. Your theory is done for this week. So good job. Email me if you have any questions. Other than that, I think it should be pretty easy. We'll see you in class.